Good Friday afternoon. G-Force. Tom Ginn hosting today. G is for gratitude. Gratitude is, and I believe, is one of the most powerful words we incorporate in our life and in our heart because it changes how we look at anything in our life. It brings hope. It negates negativity. It just changes our perspective no matter what's happening in our lives at any given moment. And I start my day out with gratitude. Within that first 60 seconds of when I get up in the morning, I go through my gratitude. And because today is the most important day of my life, this moment's the most important day. How I address this day is going to dictate the rest of my life. And I believe that wholeheartedly that gratitude is one of the most important words you can incorporate in your life, create a practice with it. As we've been going through the last several months, we've been going through a number of books, how gratitude works, the science behind it. Now we're going through a book called The Ant and the Elephant, a little bit about, how our subconscious mind is controlling ourselves, but we think that our conscious mind is actually that it's in control. So, and we focus that in and around gratitude. But today, I'm going to be introducing my guest today. I met our guest at a business book signing event, and I got his book, had some conversation with our guest, and I was very much intrigued, and I made it a point to make sure that I get this gentleman on our program, G-Force. And with that all said, I'm going to bring in my guest today, Hector Colon. Good afternoon, Hector. Glad having you here.
Happy to be with you today. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share a few words with you.
Well, hopefully you're going to be sharing that with a whole lot of people out there. We've already got some people chiming in right now, but today, your story, we'd like to do two sides of what we're talking about. You have written a book, and I'm going to bring that book up so people have an idea what it is My Journey from the Boxing Ring to the Boardroom, 5 Essential Virtues. I've read the book, and I believe everybody should read this because there's some strong principles there in your life story and how you made that hard decision. We'll talk about that here in a moment. So, author, CEO, public speaker, influencer in his community and an influencer in his church. So I'm pretty at awe of what you're doing and how you're helping people out there. So Hector, I'd like to just start with a little bit about, where do you live, a little bit about your family, your journey, a little bit about some principles in the book, and then we'll talk a little bit about the boardroom, the Lutheran Social Services and the mission that you head up here in Wisconsin and Michigan. So it's all yours, my friend. And I'm just going to acknowledge we've got a couple people coming on here real quick. So I'll make sure that this is my great friend in Georgia, Mark Gassert.
Hello, Mark.
And we also he is Hector, just for you. Yeah, give him the bob and weave. He loves Muhammad Ali. So, so you may want to, give him some boxing trivia there as we get going. But appreciate you coming on, Mark. Push and share that out with the audience. So, Hector, why don't you just go ahead and just share a little bit about, where you're from. I know you've got a family. And your journey, some points about the book.
Sure. Again, thank you very much, Tom, for the opportunity to be here with you today. So my family my mother and father were born in Puerto Rico, came here. So I was born in Milwaukee, lived here all my life. Right now I live in New Berlin. I have a wife. We've been married for 21 years. And I have 2 children, Angelis, who is 18 years old,
Wow.
and Elian, who's 15 years old. And I love Wisconsin. My mother and father got a divorce when I was 12. So my father moved back to Puerto Rico when I was 12. And my mother still lives here in Milwaukee. I have a sister, Nereida Colon, and so she still lives here. And this is home for us. I love Wisconsin, and now I'm at LSS as the president and CEO.
Well, a little bit about your background when you're getting into the book here from, the boxing ring. Share with the audience, that journey, how you got into boxing. And I was reading in the book, and there's another element there that I didn't realize that you're pretty talented in another sport as well. But share your journey of what got you into the boxing ring, and share that story, because that's pretty powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, I had one major event in my life, and it happened in June on one summer day in 1982 when I went out into the community to play with some friends who were playing baseball. And one of the individuals who didn't want me in the community called me a spick, the N word, and told me to get out of the neighborhood. He hit me in the face. I came home crying with a bloody nose. And as I was walking into the house, I saw my father, and right away he said, "What happened? ¿Qué te pasó?" And I kind of saw tears in his eyes. And I explained to him what happened. And he said, "I'm going to take you to the boxing gym so that you can learn how to defend yourself." So he takes me to the boxing gym, and I recall him introducing me to my coach, Israel Acosta, who everybody called Shorty, who is a real giant in the community and has been a giant in my life. And I recall him putting me in front of the mirror and showing me some boxing combinations. And right away, he told my father, "Your son is a natural. He's going to become a champion." And at first, I wasn't very interested in boxing. I wanted to play baseball, and my father played baseball, and that was what excited me. But I continued on with the sport, and my coach was right. I ended up becoming a 7-time national champion, traveling all over the world with the United States national boxing team. And in 1992, I was favored to go to the Olympics in Barcelona, Spain. I was so excited. I was 19 years old. I was already looking at that gold medal. I was already looking at that multi-million-dollar contract. And for the most important opportunity in my life, I was not focused, mind, body, and spirit. I was distracted. And I get into the Olympic trials and I lost. And I was devastated, absolutely devastated. I wasn't hearing from the big time promoters about making the millions of dollars, and I was hurting and I was searching. And on December 27, 1992, I bought my first Bible, and on that day I gave my life to Christ. 6 months later, I fight Jesse Racino again, the guy that robbed me of my dreams. And this time I knock him out in the first round for the U.S. Championship. That fight was on cable television. I was on the inside cover of Sports Illustrated, front cover of USA Boxing magazine. The promoters ended up coming back, but I ended up feeling a strong calling away from the sport after a year of prayer and discernment. It was the hardest decision I ever made in my life, but that same dedication, determination, and discipline it took me to be a champion boxer is the same dedication, determination, and discipline I apply into my life, striving for excellence in everything that I do, whether it be as a husband, as a father, as a friend, or as a CEO. I'm striving to work very hard to be my best.
In your book, in the subtitle here, 5 Essential Virtues for Life and Leadership. And when I was going through those, and everybody has different things that key points that propel them, and these are your 5 virtues that you've held on to and manifested and put in your life. I'm going to just bring up those up. And if you just like to share a little bit about these points, a couple of them I never even considered them as virtues in life. So I'm going to bring that up if you don't mind here, so we
Sure.
sort of stay on track here. And if anyone wants to reach out to Hector, I'm going to scroll his email down here below. But 5 virtues you live by.
Yep. Yeah.
This
Thank you. Go
this
ahead.
first word I had trouble even saying. So magnanimity.
Magnanimity.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
magnanimity is one of the beautiful virtues. And it's really about the virtue. And all of these virtues, if you follow them, they are definitely going to bring out the champion in you. And the first one is magnanimity. St. Thomas Aquinas said this is the virtue of the greatness of soul. Alexander Havard, who wrote the book Created for Greatness, said that this is the virtue of personal excellence. And what I think is it's really those daily habits, those daily routines, those daily rituals that allow you to live out this virtue of greatness. And when I was a boxer, I used this virtue because I did everything that I could do in order to become a champion. And what that meant is I would wake up every morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd be out there running. It didn't matter if it was below 0 degrees, 6 feet of snow, I was out there. I would work out in the afternoon, lifting weights for an hour. I'd go to the gym in the evening, 2 to 3 hours, even after baseball practice. And I was there. I would go to sleep early. I would wake up early. I was doing everything a boxer needed to do in order to become a champion. And that virtue showed me a lot because as a CEO, as a husband, as a father, I also need to follow a plan of life to make sure that I bring my best self each and every day. I can't just be a CEO and show up at work. I start my day with meditation, with prayer, with daily mass, with workout. All throughout the day, I'm reflecting. I'm giving thanks to God, a lot of gratitude. So I have lots of daily habits, daily rituals, and daily routines that's going to help me bring my best self each and every day. So that's magnanimity.
Hey, can,
Humility. Yeah, go
can I
ahead.
make a comment on that? As a personal development coach, is we all have unlimited potential and talents and genius and gifts. And that word I'm going to have to learn how to say this. This is
Magnanimity. Magnanimity.
I'm going to embrace that, and because now I have a better understanding how I can incorporate that particular meaning at a virtuous way, because we all have greatness, and how do you embrace it at a deep level? Thank you for thank you that you know your book does have impact, so I just wanted to say that. So
Thank you so much.
the next one.
So humility, and I'll focus on this virtue from the context of fraternal humility, which at its core is really about serving others. And I learned this virtue from two very important people growing up. First, my mother. My mother, when mother and father got a divorce, my father moved to Puerto Rico, and he was gone. He didn't support us, no money, no calls, just gone. And I never saw my mother complain. Not once did I see her complain. In fact, not only did she not complain, but she would bring in the homeless. She would serve people with severe persistent mental illness and addiction. Essentially, did everything a paid case manager would do without receiving a dime. So I learned what it meant to be a humble servant leader through my mother, but also through my coach, Israel Acosta, Shorty, that giant in my life, who would sacrifice his nights for me, sacrifice his weekends for me, took me into his own home where he loved me, fed me, made sure that I could be a champion both in and out of the ring. And so I learned through both of those individuals what the huge impact they had on my life through their humility, through their service to me. And so I gravitate towards humility. in the context of service to others. And that's why I've embraced a leadership philosophy of servant leadership, where I believe the more you pay attention to your colleagues to make sure that they're doing well, both personally as well as professionally, you pay them commensurate to the value they provide society, as well as the organization. And if you look at servant leadership, you look at Fortune 500 companies that are run by servant leaders, they outperform those that are not. So that's a little bit about humility.
Next one is courage. And I
Yeah.
tell you what, I have to say this. When I was in college, they had an intramural boxing thing. And I was a football player, and I could take hits and all that type of thing. But I tell you what, that was scary, and I didn't have the courage to really be in the ring. So,
Yeah.
so it's a whole different thing. So I just thought I would share that a little bit. But courage, how
Yeah.
important is courage as a virtue?
I learned so much courage in the sport of boxing because, there's no greater fear, as you said, than entering into that ring. That fear you feel is absolutely terrible. I don't care if you're Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, or Hector Colon. You go into that ring with fear, but you go into that ring because of the dedication, the determination, the discipline, and that self preparedness that gives you the confidence to get into that ring. And I have to tell you, there's nothing like having those hands raised in triumph in front of thousands of people when you win. So I learned a lot about courage, and that has allowed me in boxing, and that has allowed me to do courageous things in my life and in my career, take on roles maybe I wasn't entirely qualified for, move forward with major initiatives that would have a huge impact on my colleagues, on the people we serve, and those respective communities that were very hard. But the one thing about courage is I go back to boxing, getting into that ring, it's not a one on one sport. You have a coach, you have sparring partners, you have supporters, you have fans. You're not, it may seem like a one on one in sport, but you have a team around you that gives you the courage to get into that ring. And the same thing applies in life and leadership. So when you're moving forward with a courageous act, with a courageous and bold initiative, you cannot do that by yourself. You need to surround yourself with talent, surround yourself with supporters and colleagues to make sure that you're not going alone.
Absolutely. That, the journey, it takes a tribe of some sort. And that's so important. Thanks for sharing on that.
Yeah.
Perseverance.
Oh, perseverance is about not giving up. And again, I learned this in boxing. So I lost my first fight, was crying, wanted to give up, and didn't feel like much fun. And my coach was like, "Champ, this is your first fight. You got natural talents. You got to keep going." So I did. But then I fight my second fight, and I lose, and I'm crying again. And this time I really said, man, there's nothing fun about this. This intense fear that you feel as you're entering into the ring, then you lose, then you start crying in your humility. I told my coach, look, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And
How
and
old
then
were you?
I was 9 years old,
Okay.
10 years old, the second fight. And then after that, my coach said, come on, champ, don't be a quitter. You can become a champ. Don't be a quitter. And it was the way he said it that convinced me for the first time in my life. It was a challenge I wanted to take on. And he was right. I got to be a 7-time national champion, traveling all over the world with the United States national boxing team, and all of the beautiful experiences I was able to experience as a result of that. I went to Poland, where I had my own biases when I went to Poland because I was bullied by a Polish person in my neighborhood, and I got to see the beautiful Polish people. People would say, "Never go to Russia; it's horrible. The people there are bad." And I got to meet the great Russian people that we couldn't even understand one another, but we're playing cards and having a great time together, and it was a beautiful experience. And I went to Barbados, where I grew up in poverty, especially after my father left, and I saw what true poverty was when I went to Barbados. And we didn't see discrimination and racism. We were black and white and brown, and we all wanted to become champions and supported one another. So boxing gave me a beautiful experience. And if I would have given up, I never would experience all of that. That helped me so much in my life in leadership. When I left boxing, I ended up getting back into school, and I started a little late, and I scored embarrassingly low on my entrance exam. And but I worked hard. I'm a fighter, so I worked really hard, and I graduated with honors, and I got a 3.83 for my master's degree, and I was the only student in my class to publish my thesis in the American Journal of Occupational Therapy. But then I take my first occupational entrance exam so I can practice occupational therapy, so I can provide for my family, so I can have a career. I thought I was smart, and I didn't study, and I failed my first LT entrance exam, and I was devastated. So I said, this was a huge mistake. So now I said, I just barely failed, so I'll study a little bit more and I'll pass this test. And I take the entrance exam a second time, and I failed again. And this time it was like an 8 count, man. I was dazed, and it was like I was really hurt. And I was, at the same time, I saw Vernon Forrest, who I beat twice, become a 4-time world champion, multi-millionaire. I saw Jose Antonio Rivera, who I knocked out, become a 3-time world champion. And I thought to myself, why don't I just go back to boxing? It would be so much easier. I can make millions, and I can't pass this test. But then I heard Shorty, that echo, that giant, say, don't be a quitter. Don't be a quitter. And this time I studied with the rigor and intensity it took me to be an honor roll student to pass that test. And that degree offered me a great opportunity to rise to where I'm at today, as now the president and CEO of one of the largest nonprofit organizations, not only in the state, but the entire Midwest. So the point here is, don't give up, but also be willing to fail. Because if we never fail, we're probably never reaching our potential. I got into jobs I probably wasn't qualified for. I got into the ring, I lost, but all of these experiences have allowed me to be the person I am today.
Wow. And that means so much. I relate to a lot of that myself. Things I failed at and didn't think I was smart enough to get through it, but I had some people in my life that gave me that perseverance attitude or virtue. So you fail forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
You fail
Yes.
forward. And temperance.
Temperance. One of the toughest virtues there is around, and one of the best virtues if you exhibit it. And so, in a sport of boxing, you learn temperance. When you're in that ring and somebody hits you, you can't get mad and lose control. You have to stay composed and strategize and see how you're gonna make sure you don't get hit again, and you have to be composed. Or if you get hit with a low blow and the referee doesn't see it, you can't retaliate with a low blow, because now the referee might see it and you will get disqualified. Or there's a lot of smash talking and bad talking before the fight. You can't let that get to you. You have to stay composed and make sure that you have a mindset that I'll take care of that in the ring. So you learn that in the sport of boxing, and you have to apply that in life. We're confronted with a lot of low blows. We have to bob and weave a lot of punches as we go through our life and our career. And you want to make sure that you do not react to a situation that could ruin your life and career. Just like that low blow could disqualify you. You don't want to do something stupid, that could ruin your life and career. Maybe it's responding to a situation that is tough. There's lots of ways that we need to exhibit temperance and self-control, and it could make a huge difference on your success in life.
Powerful, powerful. One of the things that I always is we learn to, and I call it either we're responding, and that's temperance, or reacting, because you could have went to the emotion side, react, and did a low blow, or made a wrong decision just out of not being able to assess the situation properly. So temperance, I really appreciate that word, and gave me a whole different meaning of some of the things I teach. So I appreciate that much. So you here you are, you I know that that making that decision not to go after the professional realm of boxing, how tough was that? I mean, what was it that you said, you're being pulled in that direction because you could see all the glitter, the ornaments of life, and quote what a lot of people call success, in that. So what was the biggest challenge you had to get over, and what was the thing that caused you to hurdle that obstacle? What was it?
Well, it was an incredibly difficult decision, but I was walking through my journey with Christ. I read chapter 1, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, and it talks about how we're temples of the Holy Spirit. What we do to ourselves, we do unto God. And I pictured myself here. I'm going to be in the ring. I'm going to hurt another person because that's the sole purpose of the sport. I'm going to get hurt because it's inevitable. Boxers get hurt. And that was the scripture that convicted me. And again, after a year of prayer and discernment, I ended up deciding leaving the sport. Not even at my prime, 19, 20 years old. I had so much ability and talent, and I could have done great things in the sport of boxing, like many of the boxers that I even beat in the sport. It was very, very difficult. I remember when I gave up the sport, it's not what I knew the calling was to give it up, but I naturally wanted to continue doing it. And it was very hard to face my coach, Israel Acosta, who I love so much, who had so many hopes and dreams of accomplishing great things together in the sport of boxing. It was so hard to see him. I would cry for years because I felt that there was a personal connection there that was lost. And really, nothing was lost. He's like a second father to me. He loves me very much. I love him very much. In hindsight, he's very happy with the decision I made. But back then, it was really hard. A lot of people in my community didn't understand why I would do this. Here's this kid that grew up poor in poverty with the potential of having a lucrative contract. Just that generally, why would you leave the sport of boxing and give that up? And a lot of us, grew up in the community and wanted to become professional athletes, and I had the ability to do it. Why would you not do this? So all of those things were really, really difficult in the beginning. In hindsight, am so happy I made the decision. No regrets. I feel so blessed. Many of those boxers that I have beat or competed with, a lot of them are different today. They might be punch drunk. They have broken families. They're broke. It's a really tough sport, but I'm so glad I did it while I did, because I learned these 5 essential virtues for life and leadership that if anybody follows, they're going to bring out the champion in you.
Wow. That's a very powerful thing, is that you had a bigger vision, one that had more meaning than a title and a trophy and a big paycheck, serving a power and our God to do his work. And that, I know, takes all those things that you laid out, those 5 principles, to serve him to that standard. But you're gonna, no regrets. I don't hear it at all. No. I don't hear that at all. And I think that's a powerful message, that your vision in life has got to be tied to a bigger why, a bigger purpose. And when you get clear on that, the decisions, that wasn't an easy decision, but you were able to make that decision, right? So I think having a clear vision, a purpose, and why is what I teach as well, makes those decisions manifest so that you live your life without regrets. And that's a powerful, powerful story, my friend. So that sort of leads us now. So you made that big decision. You know, you're getting pressure from everybody, right? And of course, the internal pressures that you had to deal with. So sort of after that, what was your journey to where you are today? What are some of the things you did? I know you were an occupational therapist. You struggled through the test and you got through it, and you know, you persevered, and you just took the skills that you had from the boxing and applied it to your academia. So after that, what are some of the things that you did in life, in business, and in career path to where you are today?
Yeah, thank you. So I started off as a mental health clinician after I graduated with my degree in occupational therapy. I wanted to start a business, but I wanted to first work in a rehab setting in a hospital system. But at the time, those jobs weren't readily available. So I ended up always had a passion for mental health. I have a sister that has severe persistent mental illness, and I always was interested in that. So I started off as a clinician, but within 3 months, I became the assistant director of that program. And I've been in management and leadership ever since. So pretty much my whole career, I've been in management and leadership. From there, I started at Wisconsin Correctional Services. From there, I went to the United Community Center as the associate executive director. And that's home. That's where I learned how to box. That's like was my second home. Been going there since I was 9 years old, and so it was really an honor and privilege to work for a place that had a huge impact on my life. I was the associate executive director, oversaw the elderly programs. From there, I branched off into working in politics a little bit, working for Mayor Tom Barrett's administration, Governor Doyle's administration, and then County Executive Chris Abley, where I was the Director for Health and Human Services for Milwaukee County. And there I really enjoyed working with Chris Abley. He's an incredible leader, friend, person that's really passionate about Milwaukee and Wisconsin. And while we were there, we transformed health and human services from moving from multi-million-dollar deficits into multi-million-dollar surpluses, serving more people with better quality, and ensuring their dignity. So that was a wonderful experience. And from there, I got a lot of attention through that role. It was a very public role, and I was recruited by the board chair of LSS, who was John Howman at the time, and he said, "Hey, Hector, everywhere I turn, people say I need to speak with you. We have a president and CEO position available. Would you like to have a glass of wine and talk about the position?" So we had a glass of wine. It was supposed to be an hour. It ended up being 2 hours. And he tells me now that he went to his home, to his wife, late. So she was upset with him. And he told her, he said, "If this were my company, I would hire Hector on the spot." But it took a 6-month process, and it was a very long, lengthy process. In hindsight, I thought it was too long, but now I think about the process. It was good because we both got to ensure that it was a good fit for me as well as for the organization. It was a big stretch for the organization. I am the first non-Lutheran, non-pastor, non-Norwegian to run the organization in 138 years. I feel so blessed that they gave me this opportunity, that I stayed in the process and accepted the opportunity, because I feel that I'm where God wants me to be, and I feel at home.
Wow. So share a little bit with the our audience here, a little bit about the organization. Whoops, let me see if I got it here. Here it is. Lutheran Social Service of, share a little bit about the mission and what they do, the impact you're having with this organization. So just share with everybody.
Yeah, so LSS of Wisconsin and Upper Michigan serves over 30,000 individuals on an annual basis, 91% of which indicate that we have improved their quality of life. This is an organization that has been around for a long time, providing high quality services to those most in need. It could be a child in crisis who has nowhere to turn, someone that needs a loving parent to help them reach their full potential. Someone struggling with addiction or mental illness, and we provide them with the support they need, again, to reach their full potential. An elderly person, a person with disability, we empower them to live their best lives. Somebody in the foster care system, we do special needs adoption, we provide refugee services. So we're really providing lots of services. And at the end of the day, we're empowering them to live their best lives, to help them reach their personal greatness. These individuals have so much talents and abilities, and the humble servant leaders at LSS really helps them realize their potential. I love this organization. I love the people that I work with. We have about 750 colleagues that work at LSS. We're about 60 million in revenue. The majority of our funds do come from government, but we're also blessed from individual donors that help us meet and expand our ministry. And we always need more of that support. Right now, a very small percentage of our revenue comes from charitable contributions, less than 4%. And for an organization of our size, our credibility, our reputation, that should be more like 20%. And so, since I have been in the organization, I'm working with my incredible team to raise more awareness and visibility about the difference that we make in society, and trying to get more donors to love us, love the difference that we're making for those that need us most, and to join our family.
Wow. What a great cause. Just as you were talking, I was reflecting back what you started out with in the comment you just made about giving. These people have, great gifts and talents, even though they may have an addiction and may have stories in their life. How are they operating under all those circumstances? And it was the influence of your first coach that believed in you through love, right? You're doing the same thing. You've taken those principles, and that's what people need. Is they need that somebody believes in them, no matter what the circumstances are, that they're loved, that they have potential, and we're here to support you. So that's what a beautiful mission and thing to do in life is to have that type of vision for people so they can grab a hold of it themselves. I think that's so powerful, Hector. Just want to let you know that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you're right on. Shorty believed in me, and he gave me hope and confidence. And I seen the transformational impact it had on my life. And people need that extra encouragement. Sometimes there are people that they don't know their own potential until you're able to bring it out of them. And so, as the good effective coach you are, you do that for a living, and I applaud you for that. Coaching is something very valuable and important. And I'm used to having a coach because I had Shorty as a boxer, and you get the good, you get the encouragement, but then you also get suggestions on how to improve in life, and then he brings out the best in you. And so coaches do that. And so I applaud you for the work that you do to help others on their leadership journey.
Great. Great work. So I put that information up there with your organization. Anybody that wants to reach out to you, uh, coming from the heart to help support your mission and what you're doing, I just encourage everybody to do that. I'm sure every dollar helps, right? You know, so you mentioned a lot of things besides. I posed this question to you earlier. What's besides fear? Because everybody recognizes fear is a very powerful thing that keeps people stuck, and that's a whole different conversation. So that's sort of a universal thing. Not that you want to address it, but what else holds people back in your experience? Maybe it could be your own story, or it could be things you've seen in life that would things that hold people back, and how they can overcome that obstacle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or I think when I think about that question, I think about fear. People are not willing to face their fears, or not willing to fail. They don't want to fail. So first, with facing your fears, I think it's very important that you build confidence, and that you apply dedication, determination, and discipline, and that self preparedness, just like that boxer, to help you face those fears. And also, just like a boxer, don't go alone. Surround yourself with a coach, surround yourself with friends, surround yourself with colleagues that are going to give you the ability to face those fears. The other thing is just overall fear of failure. People don't realize how powerful failure can be. First and foremost, because if you're willing to stretch yourself, that's what we need to do in life. Don't be mediocre. Don't just settle. Bring out the champion in you. Bring out the best in you. And champions are always, once they're champion, they need to be better that next year, because somebody's trying to take that championship title from them. So you continue to work hard. You continue to elevate. And so in life, we have to be willing to do that. But when you're the champion, you also can lose, and you also will lose. But you learn from those failures, you learn from those losses, and that's going to allow you to be an even stronger individual in the future. So there's lots of lessons in boxing that can teach you in life. So I would say be willing to face your fears, generally speaking, but also be willing to fail, because through those failures, take time to learn, and it's going to really help you reach your potential. Because if you're never failing, you're probably not reaching your full potential.
Absolutely, totally agree with you. And we had some conversation before we came on about, besides your number one mentor, mine as well. Um, who are some of another person besides your coach that taught you how to box and believed in you and taught you a lot of things that you have in your life? Who else is a strong influencer in your life?
Yeah, I want to say Jose Delgado, who wrote the foreword of my book. And I love Jose Delgado so much. Cuban American. He came to this country with nothing when he was 13 years old, did not know any English, ended up going to the church, gave his life to Christ, went to college, got an MBA and business, got an MBA, and ended up being a high level executive at We Energy. Ended up forming his own company called American Transition Corporation, and ended up selling that. All of his money went to the church. So he was a great friend, a great mentor of mine. He taught me about life and leadership. He gave me advice on how to be a better husband, better father, better friend, better person in this world. And I'm so honored that he wrote my forward. Couldn't find a better person. He was kind of like a father figure too. I love him so much. In fact, he passed away just recently.
Mm.
He had a stroke, when he was in Texas, and I was texting him 2 days before he died, and so it's really sad that he's gone. But Jose, I love you so much. He had a huge impact on my life, especially in my latest, over the last 7 years of my life.
Wow. And it's so important, I think, that we can recognize those people that we don't take things for granted, that the gratitude, the influence that person has had in your life and will continue. It's just because they're not here in the physical form. They're still with us, so I'm glad that we could always look at other people, but, that's a very, very powerful message there that somebody that had that much influence in your life. So prayers of comfort for you with the loss, so we grieve because we love. So,
Yes.
yeah, so that's encouraging because we loved. So that's what grief is about. So I tell you what, we've had a number of my colleagues on throughout the country making comments, and thank you, Sandy, for coming on, and Mark and Scott, and making your comments and share this out. I want to reestablish your book, how people can get your book. I'm going to bring that up over the top of us here, if you don't mind.
Yes, thank you.
There's the book, and you can get that book, Amazon or any bookstore?
Yep, you can get it on Amazon, or you can get it directly on my website if you want a personalized signed copy. That is Hector Colon, MKE.org. Hector Colon, MKE.org. If you purchase it through my website, I'll give you a signed copy, or you could get it on Amazon. And if you read the book and you enjoy it, please do a review on Amazon. So Tom, you included. And if you don't like it so much, just keep it to yourself.
Hey, Hector, I want to put this up a banner. What was the your website to order the book directly?
Yeah, Hector Colon.
Is it www?
Yep, www.hectorcolonmke.org. And it's definitely going to bring out the champion in you.
So there we got you. We got you. I'm going to add that banner. I'm going to put that up because I got your signed book too at the book.
It's actually Hector Colon, MK.org.
Thank you very much. There's my learning disabilities kicking in there, my friend.
Okay. Hector Colon, MK.org.
Okay, there we go. Do we got it correct now?
Hector Colon, MK.com. Yep, that's right. And you're going to realize that the book is going to bring out the greatness in you through magnanimity. It's going to help you appreciate humility and your willingness and want to serve others. It's going to help you face your fears through courage. And it's also going to help you reach your full potential through perseverance. And it's going to help you control your natural impulses, control your natural reactions, so that you do not be put in a situation that could ruin your life and your career.
Great. Well, my friend, I appreciate this opportunity to have you on, and great message. Again, everybody reach out to Hector. If you got any questions, support, if you have a heart to give, great cause to support people that need some help. And of course, if you're looking for a personally signed book, you know where to get it. So, so great resource. Share this out, everybody. We got one last comment, and we're going
to. There's my website. Thank you.
Yeah, Mark had my back covered. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
That's what a team is for, right?
Thank you, Mark. Mark's the champ. Ali fan. I see that. That's great, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, you're going to have an opportunity to meet him when you come on our Monday night program. So, great guy. So he loves boxing. So we're going to have some fun. With that all said, I'm going to put you in the green room. I'd like you to hang on just for a minute or two while I wrap things up, and I'll come back. And so I'm just going to put you in the back room here. Enjoy the M&Ms, okay?
All right.
Hector Colon. I'm so grateful that I've had that opportunity, not only to have his book, but have that dialogue about his story and the impact he's having from that experience, making hard decisions, the challenges that we all go through one way or another. So I just encourage you to check out Hector's book, apply these principles, because we can all learn something new to improve our lives. As we improve ourselves, we have the opportunity to improve the lives around us. So I guarantee you my life was improved today with this interview. So with that all said, tag and share. We'll see you next week, Monday. Gratitude works.